Worst phone launches of all time. It's been a rough launch for Google's Pixel 2 XL, a generally solid phone whose display problems have caused headaches for both owners of the new phone as well as Google. There have also been reports of audio issues during calls on both the Pixel 2 and Pixel 2 XL. But as red-faced as Google may feel about its initial stumbles, it's nothing like the embarrassment suffered by other smartphone makers over the years. The last decade of smartphone launches have introduced some memorable clunkers. Some were shoveled out into an indifferent marketplace with little hope of survival, while others turned out to be generally well-designed miracles of modern technology, let down by manufacturing gremlins and supply chain holdups. For those reasons and more, here are 10 phones that stalled at takeoff. Credit: Mike Kane. Bloomberg. Getty. As much credit as the original iPhone gets, it was the iPhone 3G that ushered in the era of apps and fast data. Not overnight, mind you, quite literally because customers couldn't activate their phones. Apple servers and call centers were hammered upon launch, with in-store representatives instructing users to go home and attempt activation later in the evening using their PC and iTunes. Those trying to upgrade their first-generation iPhones to iOS 2.0 faced similar issues, and it would be about a day before early iPhone 3G adopters would see their new devices in working order. Thankfully, a decade later, Apple now has these smartphone launches figured out. Credit: Anthony Devlin. Images. Getty. Let's make one thing clear off the bat. No, the Pixel 2 XL is not as poor as some other devices featured here. But it also hasn't had the best go of it since releasing just last week. Most of the issues pertain to the 6-inch handset's LG-sourced plastic OLED display, which has shown washed-out hues, graining and pronounced discoloration at certain viewing angles. Then we learned some units were suffering from burn-in. Not to be outdone, both the Pixel 2 XL and the smaller 5-inch Pixel 2 are making clicking noises during speaker calls, according to some users. Google has said it is investigating all of these issues, so you might want to wait before pulling the trigger on one of the company's new phones, or at least entertain an alternative. Credit: David Paul Morris. Bloomberg. Getty. The brainchild of Andy Rubin, who oversaw development of Android, the Essential phone was highly anticipated leading up to launch, but sustained a slew of setbacks along the way, starting with shipping delays. The company then charged customers cards about a week before the phone finally arrived. But the absolute worst came when Essential leaked the personal information, including driver's license photos, birth dates, and addresses of approximately 70 customers right as shipment began, due to a misconfigured corporate email list. The sad result of all these false starts and head-scratching decisions. Essential reportedly only sold about 5,000 units over the first 2 weeks, forcing the company to slash the device's price by $200 to $499. Of course, that's not so sad if you're looking for a smartphone with a drastic price cut. Credit: Brian H. Getty. The iPhone 4 was one of those landmark products that influenced the entire industry, raising the bar regarding smartphone design beyond anything that came before. Unfortunately, the forward-thinking device came with a frustrating flaw. Users quickly discovered that holding the phone a certain way bridged the two components of the metal frame that also served as the handset's antenna, crippling service reception and leading to dropped calls. What followed was a domino effect of discouraging press. Consumer Reports quickly redacted its recommendation of the hot new phone, and Steve Jobs infamously told one owner he was holding the phone wrong. The company would somewhat resolve the problem by issuing free bumpers to owners and redesigning the antenna configuration for the iPhone 4s that came out the following year. Credit: Corbis. Getty Images. The HTC first wasn't, ironically, the first smartphone that played up Facebook integration, though it was the most ambitious. The first launched with Facebook Home, the social networking giant's attempt at replacing Android's stock interface with its own feed encompassing the lock screen and even the app launcher. In truth, the device wasn't particularly bad, it was elegantly designed, And if you wanted, you could still deactivate Facebook Home entirely for a pure Android experience. But of course, that defeated the purpose, and abysmal sales in the first month forced partner AT&T to slash the price from $99 to 99 cents, before dropping it several weeks later. Credit David Paul Morris. Bloomberg. Getty. 2 years before the iPhone, Apple partnered with Motorola to launch the ROK RE1, a mostly standard Candiper phone similar to the then popular